Welcome to the Sanctuary Podcast. Angel Deer is a medicine man and offers his work on sacred land through shamanic healing, energy healing, sound healing, breath work, plant medicine, and workshops and events. The Sanctuary is a community for all those who seek healing, transformation, ancient wisdom, and a place to come together to create a new way of living and relating. This is the Sanctuary Podcast, and this is Angel Deer.
So here's a simple topic, the topic of simplicity.
Yeah, the hardest of the simple one.
And you are a great walking example of just that in terms of, at least in terms of your lifestyle beyond other aspects of your life. And that you've been spending more time, right, exclusively living out in the country away from the city than you were previously. How did that start? What sparked that for you? Was that a need or a desire?
It's a good question. There's probably a mix of it. But I think, I was basically in the opposite side, in a busy New York City 24/7 with a very busy job and a very busy social life. And it was not working for me, but also I was looking around me and I don't think it worked for anyone, because people cope with it, but don't really live, I think, completely well with it. So I didn't want to be in that situation. The second element is that I also realized that I would get more answers, more clarity in my life as a business person if I got closer to silence, if I got closer to a moment when I don't have 100 interactions a day, and it's still a process because even when you're in the countryside with internet and all that, you can always simplify more, but it's a first step.
It was actually my trainer who said this to me the other day. We were talking something about his philosophical beliefs and the way he lives his life in a very kind of stripped down, simple way. And he told me that just historically, the greatest innovations, the greatest industrial inventions were really coming out of the minds of people who were sitting quiet, not those that were so busy and so wrapped up in moving and shaking every day that they didn't have time to just sit still, correct?
Yes, it is correct.
There's a little bit of an irony.
Yes, I mean,
contradiction.
Most of the great minds, in the 20th century, 21st century, even now, people that are, alone for a very long time, doing research or readings or spending time in nature. And I really believe, because, it's not just me believing it, but I've been witnessing it, that anybody that remove clutter from all the noise, and noise means objects,
yes,
means people, means activities, means email, means everything. Someone that remove the noise gets so much out of life, so much more, that there is difficulty to do it for many people. Say, I don't want to be alone, I can sit with myself, etc. But you're going to discover so much about yourself. And it's going to give you great clarity and power into your personal life and your professional life. Most of the professional people I work with, a lot of them are very unsettled. Or they say, I have very hard time getting clarity.
Yes, I can't meditate. My brain won't stop talking to me.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. I'm just back-to-back meetings and calls all the time. And, some people are very successful in certain ways. They manage a lot of people. They run big companies. But they don't have that clarity anymore. They're just in it, in the whirlpool, and they just have to continue going. And they don't find any escape to it. Well, they can, in fact, manage from a different place. And to manage from that different place, which is unlimited source of energy that's anchored, much more deeper inside us, it starts by getting clarity and getting into silence.
Why do you think that so many people, and maybe even more specifically, people that are on the fast track climbing the corporate ladder that really prioritize success in their careers, are so afraid or reticent to get quiet? What are we so, as human beings, what are we so afraid of, do you think?
Well, it's the same thing we're afraid if we look in the mirror for 20 minutes.
That can be scary in the morning, especially. I'll speak for myself.
I think the truth is that if you sit with yourself, for a little while, when you've never done it, things are going to come up to the surface that you don't want to look at. We're a society that's extraordinary at self-medication. And yes. Self-medication, people are thinking, I take a Xanax and to sleep or things like that. But self-medication is not only that, but it's also, alcohol to sleep or to feel okay. It's coffee to waking up. It is a social life that's always busy, so we don't have to be home or we don't have to be with ourselves. It's being ongoing on doing all the time and never being.
Even I just to interject another example of that, where people don't usually put that in the category, is talking more than listening.
Yes,
that's I think another more subtle example of it that all of us do in our in daily lives constantly.
Yes, and I think it has a lot to do with our definition of success, which has that idea that we need to be engaged with others and with things all the time, and basically we're just doing and doing and doing. And what's scary about the other part, about silence, is we have to be. We have to go from doing into being. And being means just with ourselves. And then, most people, and even for me sometimes, I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea about that. That I was like this, or this was going on. So it's often people, when you talk about that, they think, okay, you want to be a monk in a cave. This is not what I'm talking about. It's really being in your life instead of doing. It's presence. It is silence. It doesn't mean you're going away. You don't have to be in the countryside, but it means you cultivate moments of silence during your day, during your week, that you're using, for harvesting something you're going to need to, something that you can use for work, for your life, for guidance. And that's very powerful once you discover that.
There was, I am thinking of a chapter in I think it was John Nesbitt that wrote Megatrends and Megatrends 2000 back in the 70s or 80s. I'm not remembering exactly what year the book got published. There was one chapter called High Tech, High Touch. Mm-hmm. And it was his foreseeing of the technological age in which we supposedly, and I use my fingers in quotes here, progress and become faster and better and smarter. And at the same time, it would be at the expense of just humanity and intimacy and connecting with people on a human level. I think you'd agree that that's sort of come true.
It does, yeah.
Right? And so my question to you would be, how essential is it that we create a sense of simplicity in our minds to quiet the noise and to find the space?
Well, if it was
professionally,
yes, if it was through more data, more technology, more information, that we will become with humans, I say, with less anxiety, with more presence, we would be an amazingly present and no anxiety society, because there's never been so much technology. So much of all of that in our life. Yet we are very, anxious. We can't sleep. We have, there's a lot of disorder at a very big scale in the West.
Yes.
In Europe and in America, and even, in the developed country in Asia.
You're listening to the Sanctuary Podcast with Angel Deer. While you're listening, browse the website at www.thesanctuaryheal.com.
So definitely, if that was to prove something, is that this is not improving it. Quite the opposite. And then you have a lot of traditions all around the world, East and West, that are telling you something different, that have been studying the mind for tens of thousands of years for certain of them. And we can say, there was no technology, nothing is proven. Well, I think it's the opposite, because something that has proven to be working for thousands of years must be quite effective to survive so many years. If those techniques didn't work or didn't prove their point, they would have disappeared.
Yes.
Especially at an era that didn't have data or sometimes not even writing in place. So when we look back, we look like, well, as a CEO, as a leader, as an executive, as a big organization, In fact, we can learn so much from that and gain so much control on our life and get so much clarity. How amazing it is to have more clarity when you're a business leader or a CEO. Or parents, mother or father.
So how do you become the first one to break free of that when you're in a position of power? It's similar to maybe the one set of parents on a block that don't want to buy their child the same set of sneakers or clothing that everyone else has. But then there's a misalignment for your child with the rest of the kid population at school. How do you become, one of the first Fortune 500 CEOs to maybe have a no tech day, for example? I'm just having this crazy notion in my head now that everybody does that, once a month.
Yes,
or whatever.
Yeah.
What was your suggestion, baby?
But first, I think you first need to be convinced deep in our heart that the right thing to do. So it has to work for yourself first. I think if you haven't experienced it and you're speaking from a place, okay, we need more productivity in our company. So we're going to ask everybody to do 1 hour meditation a week because we read there is a study that shows that it's working. Well, that might work for a little while, but I don't think it's going to change the organization. Because I think leadership needs to embed the value, it needs to live that value on a daily basis. And the organization that really are transformed are the one that you really see the leadership living those things. So that's the first thing. The second one, I think it's by dialogue and communication. If you just tell your child, hey, do this, we're going to do that, and you don't explain why, it's very hard to understand. The same way with your employees. I think if you show people that working 30 minutes less for doing something like that is going to increase their productivity by 40 or 50%. Well, they might say, okay, maybe I'm not that busy. Maybe I can take the time off to do that meditation in the morning. I'm good friend with a very famous chef in New York City that runs one of the very big restaurants there. Extremely busy, he's on TV shows and the restaurants and all that. He meditates 1 hour every morning. And we know how busy kitchens are in the morning when you are a chef.
Yes.
He meditates diligently 1 hour every morning. So he can deliver way more during the day.
Has he talked about noticing the difference between before he started meditating and since?
Yeah, I've talked to him about it. I mean, for him, there's no return. It's almost like if you brush your teeth every day, you're not going to stop doing it. The benefits are like taking a shower. It becomes such a habit and you see the benefits of it. But it's really hard to convince people unless they experience it. Mm-hmm. And it's something quite easy to experience. But it's true that when you're a very busy CEO and leader, the first thing people tell me is that I don't have time. I don't have time to take even 15 minutes or to stop 10 minutes during the day. I really don't have time. So my answer is always, well, I'm going to give you more time. You actually have more time to do that. And it's hard to understand. Say, well, the day is only, 8 hours or 10 hours. So how is that happening? It's happening because you're way more present. You answer faster. You're more clear in your decisions. In your meeting, you can make them shorter. Because you're way more present. You don't have your head in and out of the meeting every 5 seconds because you're thinking of next meeting and of your wife and your bank account and your mortgage and all this.
There's no such thing as pure multitasking.
Yes, by the way, I think science has proven very recently that we are not designed for multitasking. So this is, I think I'm very good at it. I like to think that, but in fact, science just proved me I'm completely wrong.
Yeah.
We can really multitask.
Yeah, your brain technically, really physiologically, there is no such thing.
Yeah, we're not wired for it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, as much as we think we're very impressed with ourselves. Just you have a big Cheshire grin on your face thinking about your multitasking talents.
Yes. It's a hard one for me to understand because I really think I'm good at it, but I do know that I deliver way better. Right now I'm writing a lot and I realize that if I close everything and if I dedicate this 1 hour just for writing, I get in a place of flow and the quality of my writing is much, much better than I do it with 20 windows open on my computer and bouncing back with my emails or social media.
So for the people that want to create a sense of simplicity, we've kind of covered it in the corporate culture. First, you really have to live it yourself. If there's a CEO that's listening to this right now that wants to brave these uncharted waters of trying to find a way to get quieter with his or her style of leadership, or there's a busy mom or dad out there that's interested in finding a way to simplify their life, what would you suggest they do to start?
Well, I think meditation is one of them. Even 10 or 15 minutes of daily meditation. I tell people, let's try for a week and let's see how your days goes. Let's see the difference in your day. And people always, because we are all built the same way, immediately see the difference. They say, you're right, my day felt different. There was a shift. So that's what we're trying to do there. I think that the first immediate thing. The second one is that you can start reducing things easily. Like, we all get newsletter, from your email. Create a special email for that. That's not on your phone, that's just on your computer. So when you're on your phone or when you're walking around, you don't have all your email coming every 5 seconds. Remove push notifications from all your apps. And there's the one that's really urgent and emergency thing. There's little things you can do with technology that are going to help you, in fact, to block the permanent disturbance to your life and try to be just present with whatever you're doing, eating, talking, writing.
And really getting rid of and working on the addiction of it too. I think there's a comfort zone that people have to feel the need to be, again, quote unquote, engaged with all of these examples you just mentioned, that somehow someone's looking for them, or there's one more piece of information they need to take in, or there's some need to receive all this information. Perhaps one of the steps would be to just decide that you don't need that to feel significant, important, good about yourself, engaged.
Yes, it's not always easy to decide because somehow you're always feeling you're missing it. So I like to say, okay, what can you create as a good habit that's going to feel good? Because it's hard to remove something that somehow feel good, even if it's not good for you, but something that's like a punishment. So is there something that you can do during those 10 minutes you're going to take off, that's going to make you feel good? That book that you want to read, that things you want to write, that podcast you wanted to listen to. That you're really taking 10 minutes just for that. And so you're replaced by feel good. And meditation, even if it's hard for people when they start, very quickly people have a feel good about it. And it should be enough to start kicking off slowly, very slowly, but surely.
You've been listening to the Sanctuary Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, we're a source of talks about spirituality, personal transformation, energy healing, shamanism, and earth-based practices. For more, visit thesanctuaryheal.com. On the website, you can find out about our events, our retreats, healing offering, our spiritual blog, and you can also register for the newsletter. Again, visit thesanctuaryheal.com. Till next time, this is the Sanctuary Podcast, and Angel Deer signing off.